Muamode share and modofo snowy matana say nsema wodo a ekoso ewo ye man Ghana mu eno enam libo ewusiafo intem pass no odi edimechi na yenkotie nsem ni bi embra.
Now, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana is set to announce a new policy rate later today following a 2-day review of recent economic developments. At its last meeting, the committee indicated a willingness to reduce the current policy rate, which stands at 25%, should key indicators like inflation show signs of improvement. However, Bank of Ghana Governor Dr. Johnson Esiama recently cautioned that the anticipated increases in utility prices could influence the committee's decision on the policy rate.
As that underscores ongoing resilience as recapitalization and strict underwriting continues. On the fiscal side, colleagues, execution in the first half of 2025 signaled consolidation. The deficit on commitment basis was contained at 0.7% of GDP, below target, contributing, together with Cedi strength and external restructuring, to a decline in the public debt ratio by mid-year. Against this backdrop of easing inflation pressures, anchored expectations, and stronger buffers, the MPC in July, as you will recall, reduced the policy rate by 300 basis points to 25.0%, while reiterating our readiness to adjust as the disinflation process evolves and risks such as global trade disruptions or prospective utility tariff adjustments are assessed. Colleagues, our commitment remains firm, and these are to maintain price stability, to safeguard financial stability, and to create the conditions for inclusive and sustainable growth.
That was Governor of the Central Bank, Dr. Johnson Esiama, briefing the press on Monday on the first day of the MPC meetings. Market watchers will closely be monitoring today's announcement for signs of the bank's response to these evolving economic pressures. Now, 8 banks in Ghana have earned 5-star ratings for overall service quality in consumer banking in 2024. According to the Ghana Customer Satisfaction Index released by the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, CIMG, First Atlantic Bank topped the consumer banking category with a score of 95.3%, followed closely by First National Bank and Stanbic Bank. In the business banking category, Consolidated Bank Ghana CBG emerged as the leader with an impressive score of 99.6%, ahead of Cow Bank and Omnibasic Bank.
Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the 2024 Customer Satisfaction Index report for the banking sector, National President of the Chartered Institute of Marketing Ghana, Michael Abil, stressed the importance of putting customers at the center of banking operations. He urged financial institutions to listen carefully to the concerns and challenges of customers and adopt scientific approaches in developing solutions.
First is to understand that CMG has the mandate to do such market research to help customer service delivery within the industry. And with such a service, now we've really measured the customer satisfaction, customer loyalty for all the various banks, I think with the exception of Access Bank and Republic Bank. And it shows them how well they are doing in terms of how they are delivering their service. Generally, it gives them, especially with the banks, it gives them the information to be able to deliver on effective service, to know which areas they are doing well and which areas they need to improve. But in terms of us, the customers, now the banks know what we need, what they should do, and how they can improve the service in order to get better scores next year. And we're expecting that as this result is published by the news and everybody is aware of it, they are going to take cue and they are going to improve service delivery to us Ghanaians.
On this spot, the chairman of the event and president of the Ghana Association of Banks, Johnny, called on banks to take the findings of the report seriously and use them as a guide to enhance service delivery across the sector.
I think, as you can see, though the other performance metrics or the assessment points were good, overall the customer loyalty index was not that good for the industry, which means that our customers are not entirely very loyal to us, because because most customers are multi-banked. So if you have a customer and you're doing business with that customer, you have a duty to make the customer sticky to your bank or to your brand. And it is a message that we want all the banks to take. If every bank works to retain their best customers or their good customers, you will find that overall service standards within the industry will improve.
Thanks for staying with us. Ghana's total public debt has inched up once again, reaching a new high. According to the latest data from the Bank of Ghana, the country's debt stock now stands at 629 billion cedis. Here's more in this report.
The data showed the new debt levels represented 44.9% of the country's gross domestic product. A careful analysis on the data showed the debt stock in Cedi terms had been rising from May this year. However, if you compare it to the same period last year, there has been some significant drop. But when you assess Ghana's debt stock in dollar terms, the amount has been the same since May, hovering around $59 billion. The country's total debt as a percentage of GDP is currently around 44.9%, but the IMF is projecting we may end the year at around 60%. So one is not sure for now whether the debt numbers could be going up.
Now, the Ghana cedi's rate of appreciation against the US dollar has slowed significantly, now standing at 21% this month. That's according to the latest economic and financial data report released by the Bank of Ghana. However, the report also reveals a notable development. Between August and September this year, the cedi depreciated by nearly 8% against the dollar. This sharp decline in value has caught the attention of several market analysts who describe the trend as both unexpected and concerning, especially given the cedi's relatively strong performance earlier in the year. The contrasting movement from a strong appreciation to a sudden loss suggests increasing volatility in the foreign exchange market and raises questions about underlying pressures on the local currency. Analysts say factors such as seasonal demand for foreign exchange, external debt servicing, and investor sentiment may all be contributing to the cedi's recent dip. Meanwhile, Ghana's total export earnings continue to climb, hitting record highs this year. According to data from the Bank of Ghana, total export revenue reached $17 billion as of the end of August, marking one of the highest levels recorded in recent years. This strong performance is being attributed to increased earnings from key export commodities including gold, cocoa, and oil. Analysts say the sustained growth in export revenue is a positive signal for the country's balance of payments and foreign exchange reserves. Here's more in the following Business Desk report.
The $17 billion that the country realized ending August this year represents a significant increase compared to the about $12 billion in the same period for last year. Gold was the biggest contributor as it brought in $11.7 billion. Our earnings from cocoa for the first 8 months of this year stood at $2.4 billion. However, what we got from oil exports was not that good, as decline in production from the country's oil fields has impacted this amount. On the other hand, we spent $11.7 billion to finance the country's import needs, representing a marginal jump from the same period last year. This resulted in a trade surplus of more than $6 billion, a development that could go a long way to strengthen our reserves and help defend the local currency, as well as our external position.
Yo ebusiafo ensem no na okotie no comments no ehunya me fabrem e wo comment section amejebre enkenka emo aha eye Ghanatube so na mo amodofo snowy na mtena say e ensem ebusiafo siade makram.